What up, chat? What everybody? How y'all doing? What's up? What's up, everybody? Democrats are hypocrites. Period.
Politicians are protecting. One of the members of the pardon board is Attorney General Keith.
In this case, I would state this, that I can find no reason how Minnesota will be safer or better if Mr. Vang is deported to a country he has not been to since he was a child.
Fox 9 reports Vang's victim wrote a letter to the board forgiving him, and they say that was a key factor in their move to pardon Vang. Charlie Rachling with. Thank you, Maddie.
What I'd love to ask you is, what would you say now to Governor Tim Walz?
Can't say it on it.
The man's sick. He's nasty, man. He bogus. How you gonna let this man go like that? Yeah, they forgave him, you know what I'm saying? But doesn't mean he should go free and stay here. Come on, Tim. And you guys want him to be vice president? Really?
Illegal alien seen as Minnesota sanctuary.
A vice presidential candidate by Kamala.
55. Why do you think they did sex offender, child rapist? I mean, that's how much he supports illegal aliens over U.S. citizen children. I'm glad Marco Rubio did it, but this happens more times you can guess. Will, I mean, unless you understand immigration law, I see a lot of times a district attorney or in a sanctuary city, they'll downgrade a crime so they can't be removable. For instance, if you're a resident alien and you get an aggravated felony, you can be deported without even seeing an immigration judge as long as you get a felony conviction with 365-day sentence. And I've seen cases 355. So why do you think they did that? They did that so we couldn't act to remove this person in the United States. So this happens a lot, but President Trump, the Department of Justice, and thank God Marco Rubio's all over this. We're going to fight them every time they come with this.
So we got to talk about the party of freaks and lunatics and weirdos. The Democrat Party, okay? And it's kind of ironic because Tim Walz, when he was selected as a vice presidential candidate by Kamala Harris, his whole thing when he first came out the gate was that MAGA's weird, right? That we're weird and that Democrats are normal people. And Democrats are, in fact, not normal, right? They prove every single day that they're actually the weirdos and the freaks, okay? And I think stories like this are a great example of what I'm talking about because Tim Walz and Democrats thought that it would be a great idea to pardon a convicted child sexual abuser, a migrant from Laos, that the Democrats decided, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. We're going to give him a pardon. And presumably they did this in order to shield him from being deported by the Trump administration. Except,
You see this trash? This man is corrupt. Somalia fraud. Now you pardon a child. Predator. Crazy. And you guys wanted to vote for this guy to be vice president? I'm glad we didn't, America. Man, I'm glad we didn't, man. USA, I'm glad we didn't. Ultra MAGA, baby.
Marco Rubio had something to say about that, right? He had something to say about that. And let's just say that this didn't work out in favor of the migrant and the Democrats. So without further ado, let's get into the story because this is very disgusting from Democrats, but it's par for the course because it really shows you how ass backwards their party, their ideology really is.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is under fire for voting to pardon an illegal migrant convicted of sexually abusing a 10-year-old. The three-person panel granted 42-year-old Tulu Vang the reprieve on June 10th. And
Tampon Tim, boy, he at it again, you guys. Tampon Tim. When is man going to just go ahead and just... I know he's stepping down, but just leave. Just stop. Just leave, man. This guy's an embarrassment, man. We dodged the bullet for real. I'm so glad we did. I'm glad, you know what I'm saying, everybody got common sense. We got to keep it strong, man. On the real. USA, America is a great country. People are dying to get here. And these idiots want to mess it up. They want to bring in people that want to disrespect America and put them in office and want to change the Constitution. That's not, no. No, you come here and respect the Constitution. Don't come here and change it based on your other third world BS. No. This is America. America first, baby. Learn English. USA is a great place, and y'all know that's why y'all died to get here. Stop bashing Trump. Trump wasn't in power that long. You had Obama in power for 8 years. Then after that, you had Biden. Come on, you guys. Let's continue. You see the title, Democrats are hypocrites.
He was set to be deported. The Trump administration officials blasted this decision, saying in a statement, quote, Governor Tim Walz's decision to pardon an illegal alien convicted child rapist so he can remain in our country is disgusting. These are the criminal illegal aliens seen as Minnesota sanctuary policies politicians are protecting.
One of the members of the pardon board is Attorney General Keith Ellison, whose office told the New York Times in a statement, quote, the Minnesota Board of Pardons made a unanimous decision to grant Tao Vang this pardon after an exhaustive process, which included a statement of support for the pardon from the victim, a recommendation to grant the pardon from the Clemency Review Commission, and a large number of community support letters. Governor Walz pointed the Times to the victim's letter supporting the pardon as part of the reason for his decision. Vang says he was born in a Thailand refugee camp in 1983, and the U.S. admitted him as a refugee in 1994, then becoming a permanent resident.
So the details here are pretty disgusting. This was sexual abuse of a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And it was ongoing, repeated. He was 18 at the time, but it's a 10-year-old.
Right.
In 2000, so he actually didn't go to prison for this. He made a plea deal, and so I guess he's had like sex offender registry status or something for the last 20 years because this happened in 2000. This was
2005.
2006. So they tried to deport him then in 2006, but at the time Laos was not accepting. We couldn't deport people to Laos. Now we can. Laos has,
which is wild to think about, right? Like, who is Laos, right? Who is Laos as a country to tell us that we can't send their illegals, right? Their sexual abusers, their pedophiles back to their country? Amazing, absolutely amazing. It shows you the weakness of our country. The people that were running our country back then is like, yeah, I mean, there's no country that should be telling the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world, that they're not going to accept their illegal immigrants, especially pedophiles, right? It's amazing.
As an agreement. So this pardon, I mean, really, he's been on the sex offender registry for 20 years. He didn't go to prison anyway. The pardon is to stop him from being deported. I don't know why we would stop him from being deported. I see why we couldn't deport him to Laos when Laos was saying, no, we're not willing to take him. But now they are, so you probably got to go to Laos, particularly when this is so disgusting. But what he cited his defense at the time was, well, in that part of Asia, in Thailand and Laos, it's culturally acceptable to have sexual contact with such an underage-looking person.
Wow.
Well, if that's how you feel, I guess that's the country for you. Then we're sending you back.
Facts, facts, right? Facts. This is why you can't let everybody into the United States of America, right? You can't be accepting of all cultures because all cultures are not compatible with our culture, right? All cultures are not compatible with Western culture. Okay, if your culture is pedophilia, right? If that's a part of your culture, if that's your thing, right? Where you say, okay, it's totally fine for, grown men to abuse young children, then you should not be admitted into the United States of America. I'm just saying, people from those countries where that is the cultural norm probably should not be admitted, right? Because it's too risky, right? The risk is that they're going to try to establish those norms here, right, and to participate in those behaviors that don't align with our culture and our values, right? If that's something that you're into, right, and that's what they do in that country, then that's the country for you, right? But that doesn't mean you can come here, right? It means that you actually shouldn't come here. But again, our country is ass backwards when it comes to migration, right? We're letting in people who are simply not compatible with our values.
He want them votes. 10 pound 10 want them votes, man. The same thing he did with them Somalis. Come on in. He bogus as hell, man. All that money they lost, man. All that money they lost, man. Sending money overseas and all that. Changing the flag. How you gonna change the flag? This is America, man. How in the hell Minnesota assimilate to Minnesota? This is America. America's ground. American soil. What the man?
Values, right? We cannot do that, but we've done that in over the years, over the decades. And Democrats, all they do is kick and scream and cry, "Oh, you're racist! You're racist! If you don't want to let in pedophiles," and it's like, no. We're not racist. We want to protect our people. We want to protect our culture. Okay?
Are the pedophiles in jail? Go see them in jail. We don't need no more. They already in jail already. Go see them motherfuckers then. Y'all Democrats, liberals, and Karens, y'all sick, man.
That's what makes our country great.
We just read that it was unanimous. What I read is that it was like it was 3-2, or it was not unanimous. But some people did abstain from the vote. Anyway, I don't know why you would take this vote. I don't know why you would decide that this is a good idea. Obviously, it's going to generate deservedly furious blowback.
I guess because Tampon Tim stepping down, I guess he don't give a fuck, huh? He's stepping down, he's gonna leave anyway, so I guess he's like, no way, here you go. Man, that man bogus.
Because they're Democrats, that's why. They're Democrats. That's why, like, that's the explanation. Their ideology is ass backwards, right? They probably thought in their head, oh, the Trump administration is trying to bully this migrant who turned his life around, this pedophile, he turned his life around. It's been years since he's done that. It's been decades, right, since he's done that, right? He's good. He can stay, right? Keep him here. That's probably what the thought process was, right? They just want to stick it to Trump. They want to stick it to ICE so bad, right? They want to stand up to Trump's deportation agenda so bad that they'll go out of their way to pardon pedophiles. And then they'll turn around and claim that we just want to see the Epstein list, right? That all these people are also Epstein crusaders at the same time. But yet they're totally cool with pedophiles staying in the country, right? Amazing, absolutely amazing.
Can't make this
victim. Tim Wall says he's motivated by the victim saying that she no longer, or that she supports the pardon or something. He already evaded prison time and has been on the sex offender registry, which is being on the sex offender registry is actually a more serious punishment than people appreciate, because if you're on it, it's like very difficult to get a job and find housing, and because there's like so many restrictions on where you go and where you can live. I've heard people say that they would like you'd rather be in prison and then not on the sex offender registry when you're done and serve a longer prison sentence than not go to prison but be on the sex offender registry, because it makes life so difficult. So, like, he did get a significant punishment, but he's not an American citizen. He's eligible for deportation. The American people obviously want people in this situation deported. Laos is willing to have them deported. So I don't know why that shouldn't happen.
Oh, again, because Democrats want.
Yeah, Chuck Schumer switched a lot. He was the main one talking about having IDs for illegals and all that. Now he calling it Jim Crow 2.0. Yeah, Chuck Schumer been flip-flopping throughout the years, man. He been in the power, you know what I'm saying, what, 35, 40 years? Need to step down, go ahead and retire, man. Stop voting this man in power. What's wrong with these people? They work for us. The people in government work for us. We the people. That's why I like the Constitution, because it says we the people. So us Americans, you know what I'm saying? I respect everybody. I love all the countries. Right now, we need to keep America and keep it strong. We don't need no invaders. Keep it American Christian. Capitalist. All that goodness. It ain't perfect. We can keep it and try to make it to be. All this division ain't necessary.
Just sticking to Trump, right? They would have sticking to Trump so bad that they're protecting pedophiles. Amazing. And then they'll turn around and claim that Trump is protecting pedophiles, but yet that's what we got here, right? That's exactly what we got.
Right. So they just had a dude, he stepped down, had a dude with a Nazi tattoo. You know what I'm saying? For 20 years, got it covered up, but he had to step down because he was known for doing something. He got, you know what I'm saying? It's allegedly everything's going on. But he stepped down. Nasty, man. Everything they put on Trump is going right back at them. Amazing. What they say, karma's a bitch. Amazing.
Here. So So that being said, our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was not having it, right? He was not going to allow Democrats to try to shield this man from deportation, and he basically secured the deportation, the ability for this guy to be deported despite Democrats trying to save him. Take a look.
Just weeks ago, a convicted sex offender and a foreign national was shielded from deportation by the governor of Minnesota. Laotian national Tu Lee Vang was convicted of repeatedly sexually abusing a 10-year-old girl in the state of Minnesota. He even tried to pay his victim for her silence, and he called his heinous crimes a minor thing. What? Just days before this foreign sex offender was scheduled to be deported, Tim Walz, the governor, issued him a pardon, setting him free to once again endanger the children of America. Well, this week I revoked his legal status in the United States, and as a result, federal agents took him into custody, and as of today, he has been removed from the United States.
Get him out of here.
Because of our action, this foreign criminal will never pose a threat to any American ever again. Man. Americans must never be forced by their elected leaders to live alongside foreign sex criminals who have no right to begin with to reside in our country.
Black Guy 9,
this
Florida,
administration will always stand with the American people.
What's up, chat?
And defend them from violent criminals.
Appreciate it.
Officials in a sanctuary state, Minnesota, over protecting an illegal immigrant convicted of repeatedly sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl. It's a hard story to talk about and to read about, but it happened and we need to tell you. Homeland Security accusing Governor Tim Walz of granting a pardon, effectively just wiping away his criminal record to help shield the man from a final order of deportation.
So Brooke Taylor is on that. She joins us now for more. And Brooke, what did you find out? Good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Well, Governor Tim Walz facing major backlash for this. So he sits on the board that pardoned this convicted child sex offender as he was just about to be deported. So back in 2006, Tao Lee Vang right here, he was convicted of repeatedly sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl in Minnesota. He pleaded guilty in a deal that kept him out of prison. DHS says that conviction cost him his legal status and made him deportable. Well, the details in these court documents, they're too graphic for me to repeat to you on air, but it describes the abuse spanning 2 years from the time the victim was 10 to just 12 years old. The girl told investigators she met Vang through her older sister, who he later married. Investigators say he admitted, quote, "I made a mistake, but this is a minor thing. It's a cultural thing in Thailand to marry and have sex with girls as young as 12. He also told police that the young victim should be arrested too because she was, quote, as much at fault. Now, according to DHS, he received a deportation order after his conviction, but earlier this month, Minnesota's Board of Pardons voted to...
You say you don't believe the Fox News crap? Well, go ahead and Google it. Just Google it. It's not a lie. This man bogus as hell. So now you defending this dude? The man said he did it. So how you saying it's a lie? How you saying Fox News lying and the man just said he did it? Put the phone down. How you come in the chat and just say that they lying and the man just said he did it? Wow. He said he did it.
Pardon him. Federal officials say this wipes away his conviction that made him removable and now could help him fight deportation. So the 3-member board includes Governor Tim Walz, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, and Chief Justice Natalie Hudson. DHS blasted the decision, saying in part, Governor Tim Walz's decision to pardon an illegal alien, convicted child rapist so he can remain in our country is disgusting. This pardon will take away the child rapist qualifying convictions that made him removable from the United States. Now, we reached out to all 3 board members, including Governor Walz, to ask why they decided to pardon this convicted child sex offender. We have not heard back, Bill.
Okay, Brooke, thanks.
Wow. There is no low that Democrats won't go in order to try to stick it to Trump, because that's what this is about. Let's be real. What is this really about? Right? This is about sticking it to Trump. That's what it's about. Okay? That's what Democrats are trying to do here. They will protect any and every illegal immigrant. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter if they're a pedophile. Doesn't matter if they're a murderer. Doesn't matter if they're a human trafficker. Doesn't matter if they deal drugs. Don't matter if they're gangbangers. Doesn't matter. Right? The violent criminals. they're going to protect him because, again, they want to stick it to Trump. That's how ideologically captured the Democrats are when it comes to this issue of illegal immigration. It's sad. It really is. And then they'll turn around and gaslight you and claim, well, see, we want to deport the violent criminals too, right? But yet they turn around and giving out pardons to violent criminals in order to protect them from deportation.
They're doing the same thing with Summer of Love. Trash in Chicago, New York, Detroit, trashed it. Let them right back out. Kamala Harris, Black Lives Matter, that bullshit.
But again, they tell us that we want to deport the violent illegals, right? This is what they say. We support deporting the violent illegals. We just want the good ones to stay, right? They want the good ones to stay and the bad ones to go.
What Trump say, low IQ? They just jumped in the chat and it's like Fox News bad. Like, dude, you not even watching the whole thing. Like, chill out. Enjoy. Welcome to the chat. Enjoy.
But yet, this is a concrete example of Democrats protecting the bad ones, right? One of the worst ones. Doesn't matter how long ago he did it. He still did it, and he should have been deported at the time, but he wasn't deported because, for whatever reason, our leadership allows countries like Laos to tell us who we can and can't deport back to their country. Kind of wild, to be honest with you. But he should have been deported at the time. He wasn't. He basically avoided the punishment that he should have gotten. And the Trump administration said, no, you're not going to get away. We're going to deport you anyways because your time is up, right? You were convicted of something that we don't tolerate in this country, and you got to go, right? Doesn't matter how long you've been here. Doesn't matter what you've done to rehabilitate yourself. And none of that matters, right? Doesn't matter in the day. You did the crime, and your punishment, your real punishment was delayed, right? Being deported, and now we're doing that. Democrats step in and say, nah, we're going to protect them, right? We're going to protect the pedophiles. But again, they'll point to Trump and the White House administration, right, Republicans and MAGA and say, we're protecting pedophiles. But that's literally what...
Here they are protecting this bullshit. That shit's stupid as hell, man. Once again, Democrats are hypocrites. Amazing. J.C. Lee. Got some more stuff for you. There we go.
We have a Graham Plattner. Yeah, the senator or the would-be, okay, because he's officially dropped out. He was supposed to be running against Susan Collins in Maine for Senate. The guy who has been accused of RAPing all types of women and other things as well. Yeah, that guy. Well, it turns out that whole entire story, that whole entire situation is a lot crazier than just that. I know. Pretty wild, man. And it's really quite interesting. I want to jump into it. And I want to talk about a guy by the name of Daniel Morath.
Somebody wrote, with Plattner's tattoo, the love can't accuse Trump of being a Nazi any longer. I agree with that.
I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I played a clip for you guys probably, 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, a couple of weeks ago, of a gentleman who was responsible.
Yeah, they definitely know they shit. Help me be red pill too as well. Charlie Kirk, Greg, Doc Rich, Officer Tatum. Who else? My man Salty Cracker. Oh yeah. All that good conservatives.
Responsible for recruiting Graham Plattner. I know his voice is terrible, but here it is.
At this point, you hadn't vetted Graham Plattner. You hadn't done a full scrub of who he is. How did you go about vetting him? And why did you?
We paid a nice firm a whole chunk of money and got some stuff back. Some of what you've seen on the news we got back. Other stuff we didn't.
Did the vetting process turn up the tattoo that became so controversial?
No.
The Reddit posts, did that turn up in the vetting process?
The firm sent us a thing, and it had some of the posts, but it didn't have all.
Right. It's not about, once again, when Trump leave office in 2 years, I'm going to still be MAGA, because it's all about America, period. And, once again, Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, what I'm saying, a few other presidents said, make America great again. It's a great slogan. Nothing wrong with it. I get it. So I'm with it, man. On the real. USA. USA.
All of them. And what did you think about that? How did you think your way through the fact that he had posted these things on social media?
I said none of this will or should stop him from becoming a U.S. Senator.
And what was your thinking there?
I think if what the voters wanted were people who were grown in vats and had never done or said anything that they might regret their entire lives, we'd have a very different country. Part of our thesis here is that people do not want their candidates grown in vats. They want people who are real human beings, and they want people who do not look and sound like the vat-grown people who've been leading this.
Better candidates and a little bit younger, you know what I'm saying? Our last few presidents be kind of old, you know what I'm saying? So a little bit younger president be great, on the real.
Country off a cliff for the last century, and that was Graham.
USA.
Just days after this interview,
Man, America
more
250,
details about Plattner's
America
past
250.
emerged.
Man.
Yeah, I said that, this stuff shouldn't actually. My goodness, man. Lots of interesting folks on this planet, that's for darn sure. That guy, as you heard there, was responsible for basically recruiting Graham Plattner and getting Bernie Sanders' endorsement. Which is also hilarious because Bernie Sanders basically endorsed Graham Plattner like 2 weeks after Graham Plattner launched his campaign. So he barely even knew who Graham Plattner was, but he came out and endorsed him, said he was this amazing guy, this great guy, all of this nonsense, and it turns out he was a piece of shit. So the funny part about all of this, well, it's not funny because of what happened, but it's funny because they always accuse Republicans of being these horrible, terrible, no good, very bad people. But in reality, as it always plays out, because once again, Democrats always accuse Republicans of what they are or of what they do. And we have another case of that with this Daniel Moraf guy, that guy that you just heard with the horrible voice, because... let me put myself on the screen there for you all and expand this. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Plattner's Daniel Moraf barred from Summer Lee's campaign over sexual misconduct complaints. What do you know?
Nasty bastard.
Goodness gracious, you can't make this stuff up. Graham Plattner, accused of SA, or rape basically, at least with this latest chick. Eric Swalwell, you guys remember Eric Swalwell? Yeah, I know it's been a little while, but Eric Swalwell had to literally drop out of California's race because of that same thing. And now we're getting reports that this guy, Daniel Moraf, the guy who was responsible for actually recruiting, I believe he was recruited Summer Lee as well, and Graham Plattner. Look at this. Barred from her campaign because of sexual misconduct complaints. Yep. Amazing, right? Amazing. Crazy stuff. And what's even crazier, because, and I talked about this in a previous video about champagne socialism, I want to read a little something, because these folks always come from money. These communist types. Graham Plattner's guru and top strategist, Daniel Moraf, was the grandson of Seymour Ginsburg, one of the founders of Toys R Us, and its first president.
What the?
The guy who's recruiting folks to try to push America into communism or socialism, yeah.
Crazy.
He's a rich kid. If you guys haven't seen my champagne socialism videos, definitely check them out. These folks always come for money. They always come for money. All of them do. It's crazy how it works. Even the people that support this stuff, it's a bunch of rich, white, privileged kids who went to these prestigious universities, right, that are now, oh, well, I can't live in New York City in a high-rise, so I'm angry.
What's up?
I want socialism. And it's just like, bro, what?
What's up?
It's wild how it works, man. It really is. But let's get back on topic, okay? Because we got to talk about this sexual misconduct situation. So, by the end of 2022, Morath was barred from participating in Lee's historic run for Congress, in which she overcame a $5 million in AIPAC spending to become the first black woman elected to Congress from Western PA. Payday Report has learned that Morath was barred from Lee's campaign following at least 3 complaints of sexual misconduct leveled against him, leading Lee to ban Morath not just from his previous leadership positions in her campaign, but from even attending campaign events for Lee. In the winter of 2022, consultants working for the group Justice Democrats, who were assisting Lee, told activists, staff, and volunteers to stop communicating with Morath despite his repeated attempts to contact them to influence Lee's campaign. Given that both Lee and Justice Democrats were refusing to work with Morath after multiple sexual misconduct claims against him, questions are raised about what people in the movement should have done to address these. Yeah.
What the?
And look at Bernie. My goodness. What? You know what? There's so much I can say about Bernie, bro. So much I could say. But anyway.
Right, now that he's a millionaire, now it's tax to billionaires. Now that he's a millionaire. Every millionaire always want to claim tax to billionaire. That's stupid as hell. That's funny, man. The man on a G6 plane flying around, him and AOC. What about the Green New Deal? Y'all flying around. That's contaminating the air, all the flights y'all was taking. Amazing.
Following Lee's dismissal, Morath struggled to find work as a political consultant. He instead focused his efforts on attending Yale. Yeah, so I just got accused of, some sexual things with some ladies. So I'm just gonna go attend Yale. Like who does that? Only a rich kid is able to do some stuff like that. Only a rich kid. I'm gonna step out of politics for a minute. Let me go back to a prestigious school. Like what? In 2024, Morath and his partner, Leanne Fan, who's the Asian-looking chick that was sitting beside him in that earlier video, traveled out to Nebraska to recruit Kellogg strike leader Dan Osborne to run for Senate as an independent, riding the popular support he received as a strike leader. Osborne exceeded expectations in his race against two-term Republican Senator Deb Fisker. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Losing to her by a mere 6%. Morath, with his career revived, sought to build on his brand as a consultant by recruiting other unusual politicians who could appeal to white working class voters. In the summer of 2025, Morath was sent the video of Plattner advocating against an industrial salmon fishing farm where Plattner lived in Frenchman Bay, Maine, a wealthy seaside community outside of Bar Harbor. Yeah, what do you know? Graham Plattner, wealthy seaside community. All these folks come from money. It's crazy. None of these folks actually are poor. Nope. But they want to take more of your money. Weird how that works, ain't it? A Marine combat veteran from an elite, wealthy Maine family, Plattner served 4 tours in combat overseas. After returning from combat, he attended George Washington University in D.C. while working as a bartender at one of the Capitol Hill's most infamous dive bars, the Tune Inn. So yeah, crazy stuff. The guy who was responsible for recruiting Graham Plattner has actually been accused of some of the same things that Graham Plattner was accused of, which, hey, maybe that's why Morav said that, you know, some of the things that he found shouldn't have stopped him from becoming a senator. Because they had similar history. Wild how that works, ain't it? Pretty darn wild. Absolutely crazy. But yet, Republicans are the horrible, terrible, no good, very bad folks, right? We're always the terrible ones, but they're literally pushing forth people with Nazi tattoos, people who have said racist things online, people who have what sounds like to me credible accusations of RAP. Yeah. And the folks who are responsible for recruiting them had some of the same allegations. Wild how that works. Wild. But once again, I'm not surprised, because on this journey that I like to call discovering the truth, one of the things that I have learned, and I said this earlier, is that
we recently learned that Jeffrey Epstein had such close ties to Democratic delegate Stacey Plaskett, he texted her advice on how to conduct a congressional hearing while she was in the hearing. Jag, we've got more, but what are your 2 cents here?
We've now learned through a lot of different reporting, including Dropside News' reporting, that Jeffrey Epstein was actually one of the most powerful men on earth.
I'm playing this because you see what I'm saying, the hypocrisy of the bullshit. This is a congresswoman texting Epstein. And what was this? This is like 7 months ago. What is this? What was this? That's bogus as hell, man. Look at this continue. I'm going to jump in later. I'm going to let this play out.
It was not a small little operation he was running. He was connected all the way up to Vladimir Putin. And in this story, you're going to see him texting with a Democratic congresswoman in the middle of a hearing, and then her, like a puppet, saying the exact question Epstein wanted asked. It is amazing. Go ahead, Joe.
Now, Plaskett has been a member of Congress since 2015. She is a delegate for the U.S. Virgin Islands, meaning that she doesn't get a vote. But regardless, she was able to participate in congressional hearings. Here is footage of a hearing from 2019 in which Michael Cohen was being questioned about his relationship with Donald Trump. Watch how Plaskett texts Epstein during the meeting.
Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over. You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They are.
There are other people that we should be meeting with.
Her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot.
As for why Epstein was connected to Plaskett, all you have to do is follow the money. Epstein had donated generously to Democratic politicians from the U.S. Virgin Islands for years. In exchange, he got $300 million in tax incentives and was able to fly girls to his islands without customs batting an eye. Epstein owned 2 islands in the Virgin Islands, Great St. James and Little St. James. There are around 50 islands total in the Virgin Islands. Now, Epstein donated to Plaskett specifically in 2014, 2016, and 2018. Epstein also encouraged his associates to send Plaskett donations. And in 2018, he agreed to donate
Also, Brooklyn Barack. Hakeem Jeffries, don't forget about him. Brooklyn Barack. Y'all Democrats, boy.
$30,000 to the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee at Plaskett's request. For what it's worth, the DCCC did not accept Plaskett or Epstein's donation. Now, here's a statement provided by Plaskett's office addressing her messages with Epstein. During the hearing, Congresswoman Plaskett received texts from staff, constituents, and the public at large, offering advice, support, and in some cases, partisan vitriol, including from Epstein. As a former prosecutor, she welcomes information that helps her get at the truth and took on the GOP that was trying to bury the truth. The Congresswoman has previously made clear her long record combating sexual assault and human trafficking, her disgust over Epstein's deviant behavior, and her support for his victims. But Plaskett isn't the only powerful Democrat with connections to Epstein. Last week, we covered Epstein's close ties with former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. You can check out that video on our YouTube channel. On Friday, the American Prospect reported that Summers is playing a major role in crafting what's being referred to as Project 2029. That's a policy playbook from the Center for American Progress, or CAP. The project describes CAP as the highest profile think tank on the center left. Like its conservative counterpart, Project 2025, Project 2029 is allegedly being designed as a list of policy priorities should Democrats win the presidency in 2029. Summers is a, quote, distinguished senior fellow. CAP. Summers had taken a leadership role in advising.
Like I said, I just want to play a little bit of that. To show the hypocrisy of the bullshit.
Boy, oh boy, we got the hammer dropping on NATO right now. Donald Trump walking into NATO today for a bilateral meeting with Turkey and essentially telling everyone, telling Turkey, telling America's allies, telling the press, free ride is over, okay? It's over. And believe me, I think they're starting to hear him. All right, they're starting to get nervous because today was not just another NATO meeting. It was actually not just a photo op for world leaders, shall we say, smiling. Now, nobody's smiling right now. In fact, according to the Wall Street Journal, they had a therapy session last night when they all got together for dinner because you now have Donald Trump looking straight at America's allies, so-called allies, straight in the eye, and he's saying, you know what? You guys got to pay up. You got to pay up because we got a lot of other options. In fact, we have so many options, we could take our troops out. I repeat. Well, let's let him say it. We could take our troops out.
We don't have to spend any money. We could remove all of our soldiers out of Europe. Because as you probably noticed, Europe's a very different place than it was 20 years ago. A lot different, much different. It's a much different, and they better be careful with immigration and energy. If they're not careful with those two things, you're not going to have a Europe anymore.
Damn.
Ooh, he's not wrong. I mean, he really isn't. You won't have a Europe anymore. You don't have any energy, and you got an immigration disaster.
That's what I'm talking about, Trump. He be going straight forward with it, man. You don't need no damn teleprompter, piece of paper to read. Man, let them know. Let them know. That's what I'm talking about, man. Straightforward, raw.
By the way, he took care of that right back here at home. Thank you very much. But think about it. Oh, and this is the headline in the FT. You know, I saw this as it was crossing, and I didn't see it getting much pickup here in the U.S., but it did get some over in Europe, and I think this is a big headline. I mean, he's saying, hey, we can take them all out. We don't have to be here, okay? You guys are darn lucky that we've been helping you out for the last 80 years. And you think about it, you know, Europe looking to us basically as the parent, if you would. They're running under the assumption that we're there no matter what, right? Like your parents. America's just always going to be there. American taxpayers are going to fund your military. American troops are going to provide the deterrence, and American presidents are just going to pick up the tab over and over and over again with our generosity. Well, he has challenged that assumption, and then some. And that's why today's summit, this week's summit, really, really matters here, because you're seeing effectively not just a disagreement over defense spending, you're watching what I would call the biggest realignment of post-World War II security. I mean, this is happening in real time. So we're on the front lines of it here, ladies and gentlemen. This is real news, okay? And this is an arrangement that Europe liked, right? And not just liked, but depended upon for generations. And Donald Trump is there to say, no can do. And everybody wanted this. Every president, believe me, is like, we can't keep shouldering this burden, but nobody had the leverage to be able to pull this off. Okay, and it's not just NATO. He's reigniting his push for Greenland. Oh boy, is he ever. He's warning Europe that mass migration is threatening its future. He's pointing to major manufacturing moves towards the U.S. as evidence that his tariffs are working, and he's ordering new military action against Iran. Meanwhile, you got the ladies on The View just smoldering, right? They don't know what to do. They can't figure this out. They are such a great example of how the left and even politicians on the right start to implode when they try to take on Donald Trump because they can't. Wow. We begin here with NATO. I mean, major developments. I mean, it was kind of just, I wanted to give you an overall of where we're heading in the show today, but I would just say, listen, Donald Trump has argued for some time now that Europe has become far too comfortable relying on the United States. And, you know, he's just saying the quiet part out loud. Again, I want to go back to this because I can't stress enough how incredibly important this is. Donald Trump coming out swinging, telling them in the first meeting here in front of all the press and other leaders, he's got the Treasury Secretary there, he's got Marco Rubio there, and he's like, you know, we could just walk away tomorrow. We don't need to be here. We don't.
We don't have to spend any money. We could remove all of our soldiers out of Europe. Because as you probably noticed, Europe's a very different place than it was 20 years ago. A lot different, much different.
Very different, very different. Now, the extraordinary thing here really is that he's saying this to their faces, okay?
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, he's basically been doing it all along, right? I mean, if you didn't pick up on the tea leaves on this one, I don't really know what to tell you because this has been telegraphed in front of the international press. I mean, he's even picked up the phone and he's called Corriere della Sera, which is the Italian newspaper, the equivalent of the New York Times over there, and he's ranted about Giorgia Meloni to them. He's called into an equivalent would be MSNBC, like some 24-hour news station. I say MSNBC because they're really liberal, right? Like all the media is really liberal in Italy and all of Europe, it's really, really liberal. So he calls into the liberal cable channel and then he goes off on Meloni and said he felt bad for her. She's begging for a picture, for goodness sakes, right? So he has not exactly been coy about any of this. He has been very, very straightforward, and he's wanted to make sure that everyone knew he'd be willing to walk away. And just in case you weren't sure, right, he said it again this morning. He said, we don't need to be here. We could take all our troops and we could go home. So this is, again, leverage. And you have that leverage when everyone knows you're willing to use it. I mean, it's one thing if you're Biden and you're like, yeah, you know, you guys ought to pay the bill. And gee, you know, you ought to pay the bill. And gosh, you know, Putin is very scary and we have to help Ukraine. No matter what, we're helping Ukraine. He, on the other hand, is saying, yeah, Putin's not that scary. We don't know if we really need to help Ukraine. Kind of seems like your problem, not ours. And he's willing to walk. So that is, ladies and gentlemen, what you call leverage, right? And this is a businessman suddenly in there as opposed to a politician. And we talked about this the other day, how he's not that interested in alliances. He's interested in, is this a good deal for the United States of America? Is this a good deal for the American people and the American taxpayers? And if it's not, then what the heck are we doing here? Okay, you want world peace. Well, I don't really think this is helping world peace. And it's definitely not helping in America. So again, why are we here? He is making this abundantly clear. And so he's got all the leverage in the world, which is why they're freaking out. I mean, hey, we spend billions of dollars defending Europe. And many European governments have failed for years and years and years to meet any of NATO's defense spending targets. So from Trump's perspective, right? From Trump's perspective, you got to actually change the game. From Trump's perspective, you actually have to be very willing to walk away because this relationship has been badly out of balance for a long time now. I mean, you could make the argument, right? Years ago, you could make the argument, all right, going back to, you know, post-World War II, they didn't have anything. We didn't have a lot either, but, you know, we had more than them, and our gold was protected. They blew up half their gold, right? I mean, so we then became, courtesy of Bretton Woods Agreement, IMF, we became effectively the de facto currency of the world. We were the ones with all the gold, and so everything became pegged to the U.S. dollar. We went in there with the Marshall Plan, we rebuilt everything, and we had this idea, and they had this idea that maybe if we just kind of keep everybody the same with socialism, then no one will really be upset. And I guess that worked for a while, right? It kind of worked until they started importing all these migrants, trying to have social programs that they couldn't afford, especially given all the migrants. And then they were suffering under the weight of their own failures with their own economic disaster that they had created. Because, hey, we talked about it the other day. Fred Merz is just coming out, Friedrich, forgive me, he's Chancellor of Germany, you know. Again, it's the I Love Lucy reference. You can never forget his name this way, right? He spells it a little differently. It's M-E-R-Z, but in German it's pronounced, so it's Merz. Friedrich said, hey, you can't call out by phone anymore. You know, you can take 6 weeks off just for like a little cold over there in Germany. Apparently it's bad for their manufacturing capacity. You don't say, right? But, you know, the government decides everything there, as opposed to the companies themselves having their own sick policies. So this is a result of us coming in as money bags, right? Mom and dad saying, hey, we're going to allow you to have this wild lifestyle where you get to live in Never Land. And now that's changing. So Donald Trump is like, you know what? It's not happening anymore. It is not happening. We're going to change that. And we don't care if you don't want it changed, because we are willing to walk. We will take our troops, all of them, if we have to, and we'll go.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by FiveMind.com. Well, would you look at that, to the surprise to pretty much nobody with two working brain cells, another one of these Somali fraudsters has been caught, and not just any fraudster, but one of the individuals that was featured on Nick Shirley's initial expose. Interesting. I was assured by the left that no fraud was real, that Nick Shirley wasn't a real journalist, that actually he was dumb. And not just dumb, but a force for MAGA evil, a white supremacist just going around harassing local business owners, care providers, simply because they're Somali. He was targeting the immigrant community and he needed to be stopped. In fact, it was such a serious concern that even in California, they're passing what's called the Nick Shirley Act, an attempt to stop the work that he engaged in. But once again, Nick Shirley is utterly vindicated. The low-trust, tribal, third world behavior that he exposed was in fact a real phenomenon, and again, it's no surprise considering the rule: import the third world and you become the third world. The idea is if this behavior would just magically disappear because the soil changed, because a border was crossed. Obviously, that's not the case, and that is the unfortunate truth, the hard truth that the left fought so hard to defend and protect, and in the process, they've once again made themselves look like fools. The entire journalism industry, in contrast to a 23-year-old YouTuber. Once again, it's absolute vindication for Nick Shirley beyond belief. Let me show you guys the latest update. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so we got the update here from Eric Doherty. He writes, fraudster Fahima Mahamud has officially pleaded guilty to daycare fraud in Tim Walz' Minneapolis, Minnesota, after stealing millions.
5 months after she shut down her daycare, booked a flight to London, and was arrested by the FBI.
Ms. Mahamud, are you here to plead guilty today?
50-year-old Fahima Mahamud admits she committed daycare fraud. Running Future Leaders Early Learning Center on 36th and Chicago Avenue in Minneapolis since 2015, Mahamud collected the most Child Care Assistance Program, or CCAP, money in the state last year at $3.7 million. In federal court while entering her plea, Mahamud and her attorney specified that there were children attending her daycare and that she has receipts. But the government didn't accuse her of inflating attendance at her center during the swift investigation that followed the attention in Minnesota placed on daycare fraud. Instead, the FBI learned from families that Mahamud did not charge them the required copay to receive CCAP money, which provided incentive for more families to sign up. By pleading guilty to conspiracy to defraud the United States, Mahamud admits receiving $4.63 million in taxpayer money with that scheme.
Ms. Mahamud, any comment? Are you going to be able to pay back any of the money?
That's not all. Mahamud also admits taking part in the Feeding Our Future meal fraud scheme, claiming to serve up to 60,000 meals per month to needy kids out of her daycare, fraudulently collecting another $850,000. And court papers say she diverted much of those taxpayer funds to buy real estate and go toward her other companies, like this autism center, which has generated another $3.1 million in taxpayer reimbursements over the last 5 years.
And well, would you look at that? The exact daycare that she was running is the same one that Nick Shirley identified.
Future Leaders Early Learning Center. This building received over $3 million. Hello, how are you? I would like to see if I could bring little Joey, my son little Joey here. Is there paperwork or can I check out the daycare? No. Why can't I check out the daycare?
It's not here.
Okay, but if I can I get paperwork or anything to submit my son little Joey to come in here to daycare? We'd really like to put Joey in this daycare. We've heard great things. So little Joey would not be accepted to that daycare. Joey's still looking for daycare.
And what's interesting is she's being accused of stealing $3.7 million. Then if you go back and listen to the Nick Shirley video, right at the start of the clip, 6 seconds in, he's identifying how in fiscal year 2025, they received $3.7 million.
Continue freedom. Thank you, man. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Thank you. You gotta check him out. Continue freedom, man. He's a good people, man. Good person, man. I've been on the panel a few times with him. With the Chicago Conservative. Oh, yeah.
Taxpayer funding. Wow, would you look at that? These ridiculous leftoid fact checkers all coming in. We remember it's not exactly as simple as that. You can't just look at the funding and then assume that that's what they've stolen. Well, I don't know. When you show up to the facility and it's completely empty, void of any actual children, when you've staked the joint for a couple days and notice, hey, it's working hours, it's the middle of the day, the parking lot's empty, not a single child in sight, nobody being dropped off, with of course the infamous excuse being, well, listen, we run a nighttime daycare operation. Well, obviously, none of it made sense, and it was very clear they were engaged in a cover-up. And that, my friends, frankly shows you exactly what we're dealing with here. What an absurd state of reality where a single guy with a camera did more actual journalism than the entire mainstream media combined. This scam's been operating since 2015. The fact that it ran for 10 years of this stuff going on while journalists and politicians actively looked the other way and covered it all up, well, that really tells you everything that you need to know. The media only cares about stories that fit their narrative. They'll spend months obsessing over something.
Hey, you guys, this is Continue Freedom. He's in the chat. It's a good people, man. Check him out. Subscribe to his channel. As you can see, I'm subscribed as well. Check him out, man. Great patriot. You know his stuff. Check him out, man. And I believe he served as well. Thank you.
White guy saying the wrong word, some sort of optics situation where they could demonize MAGA voters or white people, but foreign subversive groups stealing billions of dollars of taxpayer monies, an entire foreign enclave systematically stealing millions from programs meant for struggling Americans. For kids, they go silent, and in fact, they seem to kick in like white blood cells, attacking Nick Shirley as if he's the virus. Nothing to see here, folks, as money is taken away from healthcare services and child services, from feeding the homeless and providing care and meals for those who actually...
So yeah, Continue Freedom, 20 years, man. Thank you for your service, man. Thank you. 20 years, man. Appreciate that, man. Oh yeah. USA, thank you, man. Again, check his channel out, subscribe.
Need all that money being siphoned off to a foreign country to buy Lamborghinis and frickin' Range Rovers and put up condo buildings in Somalia. An absolute frickin' disgrace, and they all ran cover for it. Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, Ilhan Omar, and the entire mainstream media apparatus running cover and turning a blind eye for over a decade, and having the audacity when it all comes to light to gaslight the public, to play these pathetic racial games as if these were innocent people facing unfair scrutiny from a horrible 23-year-old MAGA racist. It's unbelievable, and frankly, it's a metaphor for the current political and ideological dynamic that we're dealing with on the left. The lows that these people will stoop to, the way they'll weaponize race.
Again, Democrats are hypocrites. That's why I named this title for tonight, because that's why I'm showing these videos, how they just keep on blaming the MAGA or Republican or Trump, They the constantly are the ones that's doing all this dumb shit. They the ones messing up everything. They the ones being in power the longest. 40, 50 years. Come on, you guys. Come on, liberals. Alan, in the chat, Alan Betty. I'm glad you're here, but come on, man. You can't be trolled and keep saying the same stuff about the Epstein files. Pray for the victims, man. Pray for the victims.
In the most despicable manner possible, even when children are being robbed, when the American taxpayer is being essentially used as a freaking ATM machine, being systematically thieved from. It's absolutely unbelievable, but also totally and utterly believable. As if any of this is surprising. Again, all you needed is 2 working eyeballs, a basic above room temperature IQ to realize, after watching that Nick Shirley expose, that he was clearly onto something, and now it's utter vindication. Pretty much all the places that he visited that looked incredibly sketchy, well, it turns out they were, in fact, totally frickin' sketchy and stealing millions of taxpayer dollars. Wow. As if child autism programs going from $4 million a year in public expenditures to over $300 million in the span of, 3 to 4 years, as if that could just be explained as a natural phenomenon. Oh, that might...
And they real ignorant about it, too. Petty and narcissists with it. These Somalis. I heard a story about how they were just mean to people. Like, man, y'all come here, respect it. Y'all come here and fraud, lie, and steal, man. And then send the money overseas. That's bogus. Billions of dollars overseas. We gotta do better with this border stuff. Well, we good now. Thank God we got Trump in. I'm pretty sure if we get JD or Marco, we'll be good to go with them too. I like both of them. Either position of power, I'm cool with. They know how to talk to the press. They're young and conservative. Man. I can't believe that people fell for Sleepy Joe. We told them the man had dementia, and they straight fell for it. Vote the man in. We tell them, don't vote for Madani. Vote Madani in. Now, New York look like shit, like a third world country. We gotta fight for America, keep America great. No invasions.
Friends, is a statistical impossibility, an anomaly, and it didn't take a frickin' Einstein to figure it out, especially not when all roads led to Mogadishu. But of course, you're the problem for noticing a clear trend, and once again, the weaponization of race and identity as a defense, this utter manipulation that we see from the left, somehow fooled and hoodwinked so many gullible people. All these middle-aged leftoids recording their little TikTok videos, writing all their scathing posts online about Nick Shirley and his horrible crimes against immigrants. Well, once again, they look like complete fools, and that should be surprising to literally no one. Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by FiveMind.com. You know, sometimes you hear about these crazy stats, like there's 1 billion video uploads daily on YouTube alone.
That's crazy how the man was leading. He was winning. And all of a sudden he in third place and came in. That's crazy, man. These people are bogus when it comes to these elections. Trump was winning, all of a sudden Trump lost. Chris, he was winning, all of a sudden he lost. No more mail-in ballots. Vote in person. Bring your ID and vote in person. Not that hard. Pass the Save America Act. We need it.
I don't know if that's the actual number, but you know what I mean. These crazy statistics of just how much is proliferating online. And so here's where I'm getting with this. With all these videos hitting the internet every single day, billions upon billions of clicks. This, my friends, this piece from Spencer Pratt, this is the most powerful video moving around right now, bar none. No conversation to be had. At least I think that's true in the political realm. Spencer Pratt, frankly, just released a masterpiece on the issue of California election fraud, which of course, as you know, is a big no-no, a very controversial topic. Don't you dare challenge the...
You're right. And Christopher Pratt, the way he came to the media, man, he came to the media with like a firestorm. He came, you know what I'm saying, smart, funny, witty with it, good videos, good AI videos, very funny. I don't understand. The lady was crying. You know what I'm saying? Went back to this Prince of Crap thing, how he should have won. And she succeeded. It seemed like she succeeded. She was crying and everything. And all of a sudden now she in second place. That's crazy.
Narrative, but the way that he put it together, what he's saying is impossible to disagree with. He put it together perfectly, folks, exactly how broken and vulnerable the election system is in Los Angeles specifically. And you know, again, I think it's videos like this that put it all into clear perspective. Exactly why they hate Spencer Pratt so much, and why they worked so tirelessly and hard to stop him, to paint him as some unserious clown, a radical low IQ goofball from a reality TV show. Same thing they did with President Trump, by the way. They called him stupid. But once you listen to what he's saying, when you see presentations like this, it's clear that he's anything but. This man is sharp, he's direct, and he is speaking frankly for the unspoken, and most importantly, pushing the most righteous message. Let me show you guys what's going on as Spencer Pratt declares war on the California election system and all the irregularities. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I won't play the clip in its entirety. It's over 9 minutes long. I'll try to condense it to the most relevant parts, but just take a look.
In judicial ethics, the mere appearance of potential fraud is disqualifying. Same goes here. Whether or not there is widespread fraud occurring, there certainly could be, and it doesn't matter how many times you scream, there's no widespread fraud. A lot of people believe there is, and there's no way to actually validate it. This isn't just about whether or not fraud is swinging the election. The appearance of fraud already is swinging the election. You all saw how it was neck and neck with Karen Basura on election night, nearly double digits ahead of Nithya, just as the polling predicted. Then a few days later, suddenly Nithya started overperforming as they continued to accept ballots 7 days after the election.
Robin has now raised a 40,000 vote deficit and moved ahead of Pratt by roughly 3,000 votes, a net swing of more than 43,000 votes.
43,000 votes, which just happens to be the exact number of homeless people on the streets in LA. They assured everyone that this is normal because for some reason that they can't explain, Democrats overwhelmingly vote by mail. Not all Democrats, just the ones who are voting for the third place candidate, the one candidate who really needed the votes. Don't forget, there were 2 Democrats in the race, but for some reason, only the third place Democrat who...
And some of you guys in the chat, some of you guys, you know, I played a video of the people in California saying they got paid or got double based on how they negotiate to sign for the votes. Saying vote for this person, vote for that person. That was told, and they took it and signed. They got paid for it. And then one lady went to jail for it. So it's real. It's out there. Voter fraud is bogus, man. Man.
Needed the votes saw a disproportionate spike in votes several days after the election. The media will say that claims of fraud here are without evidence. Keep in mind.
I just got off work too, you guys, so my energy seemed kind of low. Forgive me. I did a 12-hour shift. Got to work tomorrow morning again and Sunday, 6 to 6. Got to get it.
An anomalous statistical spike like this is evidence of fraud. As any forensic accountant, it may not be necessarily proof of fraud, but it is certainly evidence of fraud. We have signature verification. Everyone has to sign their ballot, and a computer checks your signature. Well, except some voters can't sign, so they carved out a rule where you can just make a mark on the ballot, and a witness can sign on your behalf. It can be an X or a scribble or even a happy face, as long as a witness signs off on it. And don't forget, once they separate the ballot from the envelope, there's zero way to trace it back to the ballot to check if a sudden tranche of votes that swung predominantly to one candidate had come from a bunch of ballots with happy faces in the signature box. The DSA instructs their ballot harvesters to go door to door and tell them to vote for Nithya Raman and even help them fill in the bubble for their preferred socialist candidates. This is explicitly illegal. A ballot harvester can't tell you how to vote, and they certainly can't help you fill out the ballot. The laws don't matter if you have no mechanism in place to prevent the crime from occurring in the first place. All the fraud that does occur happens long before the ballots even hit this building. People have been pushing me to demand a recount. Why? You could recount these anonymous ballots 100 times. You'll get the same exact result. The fraud isn't here. It's here on Skid Row, where homeless people are paid a couple bucks for their ballots. Now, anyone saying that there's no evidence of fraud is lying. There's tons of evidence, and I was the one who got it. All those videos you saw of homeless people admitting that they were paid for their vote, where do you think they came from? Immediately after the big spike of votes came in for Nithya, I sent my team down to Skid Row to collect evidence. We were warned by some very well-connected people that this was happening, so we acted on it immediately. You think it's a coincidence that 20 FBI agents suddenly descended on Skid Row to investigate vote fraud? Why do you think they were there? My goal isn't to try and salvage the campaign, just like my advocacy in the wake of the Palisades fire wasn't about my own home. It's too late for me. This is about you. This is about the next one. It's about exposing this corrupt, rigged system and changing it for the next election. If I have to be the kamikaze pilot to finally get this fixed, so be it. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this. The right way isn't easy, but it ends with commie animals and handcuffs. I will restore faith in our elections if it's the last thing I do. And to all you fraudsters out there, we've been watching you, and justice is coming.
Impossible to disagree with. Absolutely impossible. And most importantly, because he's sidestepping the angles that Democrats used to shut down this conversation. This notion that it's just a bunch of wacky, kooky, extreme right-wing conspiracy theorists that are making all these grandiose claims of fraud that isn't actually happening or is unproven. But it's not about putting the tinfoil hat on and making up, because that, of course, is what they weaponized. That's what they used to shut down the conversation, to take angles like they did with the big lie post-2020. You have to lead with the stuff that nobody can possibly disagree with. The system is very clearly wide open for abuse. We're looking at a total lack of transparency, this sloppy chain of custody on these ballots, this mail-in voting system that seems to be a complete free-for-all in states like California, and most importantly, probably most glaringly, totally unexplainable anomalies, which, as he said, are in fact evidence of potential voting impropriety. The whole situation with Nithya Rahman simply makes no frickin' sense. That alone should be a basis to start asking serious questions, and serious questions require serious answers. And that right there is the issue. The fact that Democrats are fighting tooth and nail to shut down these questions, refusing to answer. I mean, we've all seen the videos of people going around registering homeless individuals and collecting ballots in bulk. A lot of these operations are tied to NGOs, and NGOs that are heavily connected and coordinating with Democrats, namely people like Nithya Rahman. Then you combine that with California's signature vouching rule, where somebody can basically vouch for a signature instead of it being properly verified. And all of this happening, by the way, as Gavin Newsom claims that we've got a rigorous system in place to verify every single signature. It's a complete slap in the face, and obviously they've created an environment where fraud isn't just possible, it seems almost likely. And they want to flip the script, act like you're the crazy person for asking questions, for having serious questions, again, that demand serious answers. No, obviously, the problem is the lack of answers, the lack of transparency, the fact that Gavin Newsom is fighting tooth and nail to stop the feds from getting eyeballs on the process and the ballots, and all of it based on these constant appeals to Trump fascism. Oh, we don't have to answer any questions about election irregularities and literal ballot and voter registration fraud that was caught on tape on the streets in Los Angeles, because Trump is a fascist, and what he's trying to do here is impede Californian democracy. We don't need to answer any questions or engage in any basic level of transparency. Why bother when we could simply just chalk it all up to a vast right-wing conspiracy theory? The whole situation is unbelievable, and Spencer Pratt just laid it out perfectly. Again, the premise of the video, what he said is impossible to disagree with. Absolutely impossible. And frankly, it's a far greater crime than individual cases of voter fraud. It's a crime against democracy. It's a crime against citizens, taxpayers, voters. They deserve answers.
Some stories don't need seasoning. A journalist walks outside, hears birds instead of gunshots, and says the quiet part out loud that things are actually improved under a certain policy. 24 hours later, she's out of a job. That's the clip that started this whole thing. But it's not sitting by itself. We got more videos saying the same type of thing from different angles, so let's run it.
Hi, friends. I'm Delicia Ballinger, and I am an independent journalist and mother from Memphis, Tennessee. I walked away from the Democratic Party after I realized our values no longer aligned once I was fired from an all-black news publication here that I worked for almost 10 years. President Trump announced that he was bringing the National Guard to Memphis. It was my job and duty to cover those stories. And, of course, as always, by journalistic standards, to always tell the truth, no matter from what size. If you didn't like it, if you liked it, it was my job to be able to cover that, and that's what I did. But it wasn't until I made a video, and this video was made on my own time, and it was from a mother experience, because I live in these communities where it was going to be affected and be impacted. And I realized this one particular day when I'm actually walking out to my mailbox, and it was extremely quiet, which was a normal thing in my neighborhood, because I was used to gunshots and other things happening around the neighborhood. For once, it was actually quiet and I could hear the birds sing. So I just made a video about that, just sharing my experience in thanking Trump. The video literally blew up overnight. I wasn't prepared for it, but it did. And a lot of people had a lot of things to say about it. It was like instantly the Black community turned on me because I thanked Trump for it. And not only that, the publication that I worked for was totally against what I said, all because I thanked Trump in the video. From that point going forward, they wanted me to take the videos down. They gave me an ultimatum, but ultimately I wasn't given that chance, because by the following day, everything that I was assigned with was taken away. And I was told pretty much, bye. But from that point going forward, it was my job and duty to just make people aware that the media lies, because they do. Why should I be fired for actually telling the truth and showing that the president actually did make a difference in my neighborhood? I then started to do my research and look further and further into the truth when you're talking about President Trump and wanting to know more about the things that he's done. And I realized from there that he's actually done some great actionable things for America. And I never really understood the hate. The more I read, the more I actually started to like him. Crazy thing about it all was that I actually did want to meet the president, but never in my wildest dreams did I think that something like that would happen. Just last month on March 23rd, President Trump came to Memphis to basically show his accomplishments for the Memphis Safe Task Force. And I wanted to be there. And I got that opportunity. I had a chance to meet the 45th and 47th President of the United States. And I was able to be at the round table to share my story of what it was like being here in Memphis and sharing some examples of my life and how the Memphis Safe Task Force made a difference in my neighborhood. I'm super, super grateful, and really, I'm actually thankful for the Democratic Party, for them showing their true selves, because now I was able to walk away from that plantation and have a mind of my own and think for myself. And it's been one of the best decisions I could have ever made. MAGA and the Republican Party and just the whole right side in general has been so welcoming and so loving. And we've been having some of the most amazing conversations, things that I feel like I should have known by me considering myself an educated Black woman, things that I should have known. But even with that, I've been having the experience of learning more. And I'm so thankful for now being on the right side and having an open mind. So, yeah, walking away from the Democratic plantation has been one of the best decisions I could have ever made. And I suggest you guys to really get inside of your books, because what took for me was action. But I know that it takes more than that. Read your history and learn. And please know, as a person, again, that comes from the media, that the media does lie. And it's really up to you to learn the truth. Get in your books, read, and know, just like I did. And hopefully, I'll see you on that right side. It's time to walk away, you guys.
Now, she didn't do a victory lap. She just said she noticed the difference in her own neighborhood and gave credit where she saw it. That's it. Apparently, that was enough to get her fired. Yes, fired from the paper she worked for, that she was working on, she mentioned, but from a job. You know, the same media that tells you they're here to hold power accountable decided the real threat was a Black woman noticing her street. Got quieter, got cleaner. That tells you everything about what they actually protect. She got punished for saying it out loud. Other people decided they were not waiting around for permission to say what they actually see.
What I would say is this, is that I don't have a problem talking to people who are radical leftists, people who don't agree with me, but it's not this, I don't get the same respect when I say that I'm Republican, because somehow, because I'm black, I'm supposed to agree with what other black people do, and which is predominantly
it's not necessarily agreeing what other black people do, but I mean, when you look and observe very carefully, even if you don't do it carefully, you look at the Republican Party, there's no representation that looks like you.
I build my own tables because my Republican ideology is not based on who's in the White House. And that's what I've told people before. I am a Republican because I believe that it closely lines up with my values when it comes to things of faith, things with, saving the Second Amendment, which is important because oftentimes Democrats want us, us to be gunless. And then for us, what would be...
Do Democrats want you to be gunless or just gun laws that are...
Gun laws are racist.
Gun laws are racist?
Yep.
How is that, Willie?
Most of the gun laws are in place and always cause more damage to the black community than it has any other community.
Well, that's another topic. This is what it looks like when somebody stops asking people who disrespect them to set the table, essentially. He's not, begging for no type of seat at that table. He's saying the table we built ourselves might actually hold things we say we care about. Safety, family, and the ability to protect what's ours. The wild part is how mad that makes certain people. Like, the only acceptable, black voice is the one still sitting at the table that they somehow seemingly control. And by that, I just mean Democrats. And when you start, building your own, you also start seeing who was never really trying to build with you in the first place.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but in the black community, we have to start separating black people. And let me explain to you guys what I mean by that.
Right.
You guys, me personally, I classify the black community into two parts. Well, technically three. One part, and the best part, is the normal functioning, strong-willed, ambitious black people that create good black societies. Then you have black Israelites, which I like to call them black Mormons. And then you have black folk who are only worried about the system, white supremacy, and being victims. You guys, it's no secret that the black community is doing poorly. We're at the bottom of most socioeconomic stats in America. And every single year, it seems like the black community degrades further and further into absolute anarchy. And listen, I know black history. I know there was slavery. I know there was Jim Crow. I know there was segregation and all that other hoo-ha. But guess what? You weren't there for any of it.
At all.
Black people complain about slavery that they weren't there for.
Right there.
They complain about Jim Crow that they weren't there for. They complain about all the work they had to do that they themselves were not there for. So what does that have to do with the black community being invisible now? And the thing is, it doesn't. It's just that black people have been conditioned by black activists like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks to believing that black people are either owed something or the system is constantly against them. So instead of helping fix our community, they become defeatist. They've become people who think that it's hopeless because the system is against us. And don't get me wrong, man, if you feel like that, go ahead and feel like that. But do us all a favor. Go in a corner and cry like a bitch by yourself while the rest of us go out and try to fix it. You guys, it is 2026. I am a black man. I have been able to do everything that I have wanted to do since I've been born. I don't believe that there is systematic oppression that stops black people from doing more for themselves today. So as a strong-willed, ambitious, smart, intelligent black man, I want to be able to fix my community and give my community the mindset to fix itself. We as black men and black women do not have time to be sniveling about a system that doesn't affect us. What we want to do is we want to build families, we want to build communities and build businesses. And make sure our future generations have a fighting opportunity in this nation as black children. You guys are probably going to be like, but Randy, you're just disregarding the system. I'm not disregarding it. It just doesn't affect me. And let's just say that there was a system that still oppressed black people. Then what? Just take it up the ass and say, oh, we can't do anything about it. Through slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, black people have been the most influential and moral-driven people in America. Your ancestors worked in the face of discrimination or racism. You didn't. They have a right to complain. You don't. Because if you're a properly functioning black person, do your best to stay away from black people who make themselves out to be victims.
Right, the party never switched. Never switch.
And still do your best to try to fix the community because it is all on us. I hope this helped.
Woo! You know, this was going to rub some people the wrong way. Because he said it plain. A community that refuses to separate strength from weakness eventually carries the weakness like it's sacred. He's not talking about abandoning people either. He's talking about stopping a performance where we pretend every mindset is equal to every behavior, deserves protection. The ones who care, who actually, want the community to stand, have to be willing to say some things that are holding it down. Now, while some of us are still debating who gets to speak, other people are just moving different.
I'm standing here in front of the federal courthouse in Urbana where that indictment was filed. This case centers around campaign funding, state grants, and payments to family members. According to the indictment, Carol Ammons is charged with 8 counts of wire fraud, making a false statement to the FBI, and conspiracy to obstruct justice. In the indictment, prosecutors say Ammons used money from her political committee, Friends of Carol Ammons, to pay herself and family members for expenses that were not legitimate campaign costs. Prosecutors also claim some checks were written for more than the work performed, with cash allegedly kicked back to Ammons as what the indictment calls gifts. Ammons is also accused of helping secure state grant funding for Hood Vote, Bridgewater Civilian Community Life Center, and the Urbana-Champaign Independent Media Center. Prosecutors say Ammons' daughter, Tatiana Ammons, was later paid through those organizations, creating what they called an impermissible conflict of interest. When questioned about the actions, the indictment says Ammons falsely told the FBI she didn't know a conflict existed. This indictment comes about a month after their daughter, Tatiana Ammons, was federally charged in a separate case involving COVID unemployment fraud.
This is the part they don't want next to other clips. A state representative who built her name on certain slogans and certain causes get hit with federal charges alongside her husband and her daughter. Wire fraud, obstruction. Using the same system she claimed to be fighting for. Telling y'all, it's almost poetic when the people who spend years telling everybody how corrupt everything is end up in the middle of their own federal case. And while that's happening, you still got some voices trying to convince you that the real problem is the people who noticed that the streets got safer.
Mr. Chambers cannot mention one thing that the Democrats have done for the black community, and I'll mention a few that Donald Trump has, and I'll wait for him to start.
I could follow up, Gary, but I know you were charming. You were aching to chime in with what he had to say. So go ahead. I'll give you an opportunity to respond directly to what Officer Tatum just said, pointed out.
Number one, Stephen, I chuckled a bit because you talk about the economic prosperity or the economic relationship between countries. My governor, who has the 50th ranked economy in the state in the country, you send that guy to go do the economic envoy. So first of all, if Trump's about making deals, you sent the worst negotiator possible to go represent the people of America. That's number one. Number two, you talk about the inner cities. My daughter goes to public schools in East Baton Rouge Parish School System, and it's a great school that she goes to. Number two, when you talk about that, you say this inner city. We've had a black mayor. We've never had a majority Democrat council in East Baton Rouge Parish. In the history of this parish, conservatives have always ran the government that approves the council, which approves the spending of every mayor that's ever existed. So when you talk about this majority black city, because of gerrymandering, because of racialized voting, because of the things that have harmed black people who make up 56% of the city, but we don't have a majority on the council. Let's prove another point. The East Baton Rouge Parish school system, which is 80% black, because Baton Rouge had the longest desegregation case in America. We have an 80% black school system, but a majority white Republican school board in a majority black city because we have a legislature that continues to deny black people fair representation. So when you talk about these things, you chuckle because you don't have anything to go against these.
Come on.
Now, watch how defense works. Instead of pointing their results in the places they've run for decades, it becomes about everything except the actual outcomes people live with every single day. The schools, the councils, the spending, all of it gets explained.
Everybody in the chat is my little sister Jalen. Love you, sis.
Away. Meanwhile, The people living there still dealing with the same conditions. At some point, the excuses stop sounding like analysis and start sounding like protection of a brand, which brings us to this last clip. Simple and direct.
I don't give a fuck what nobody out there say, and many of y'all gotta agree with when I say this. Hands down, our people got the worst customer service on the fucking planet. I go to a store and majority of us in that motherfucker, and they working on the register. Man, you know what? I'm leaving them from here on out. Y'all can say what you want. Well, let's stop spending in other places. Fuck.
Doing good, sis. Got off work. Forgot to go, you know what I'm saying, go live, see what's going on. Getting some updates. Glad to hear from you, sis, on the real.
Fuck you. Our people treat us like we their ex-motherfucking husband. I'm saying like that because the majority of our own women, man. You can be in line or just in the store, but you notice them having a good conversation and laughing with other races. But for some strange motherfucking apparent reason, the moment one of us walk to that fucking register, either they turn the fuck around and start talking to each other, ignoring you, or they give you fucking attitude for no fucking reason at all. And people talking about, let's boycott everybody else. Let's boycott each other too then, because everybody else hate us. But why the fuck we gotta hate each other our motherfucking self? This shit don't make no damn sense. And people wondering why we stuck where the fuck we stuck at. We ain't never gonna come out this motherfucker if we gotta deal with each other in this way. I'm just saying, bro. Either we get it together or we just don't get it.
Now, I will push back a little bit and say I ain't never experienced that from a black employee at Chick-fil-A. But nah, man, no long speech. You just got a man, you know, saying the obvious, right? Either the community decides it actually wants to fix what's broken, or it keeps performing the same arguments while the same problems sit there and stay comfortable. You know, that part, it don't need a panel. It just needs people to stop lying to themselves about what's actually working and what's not. Mm-hmm. That's the run. Different.
In the country. Communism, Pearl Harbor. That was big danger. I think the concept of us going communist, because one thing that happens when you go communist, you never come back, never comes back. You die in squalor. You die a horrible death. You die in squalor. And it gets very evil and very nasty.
Wow, I got the chills listening to that. Wow. Great questions is something that never truly happens anymore. And this was a challenging question because she asked Trump to explain himself on what he has been talking about. And mind you, as Trump was talking, there were things happening in the United States of America that we just found that is actually proving his point as to what he is saying here. And it's about communism. It's about the future of America, which is what I was talking about on my latest video. It's about the next 25 years that a lot of people aren't talking about. The reshaping of America, how America's going to look, how America's going to think, what religion is primarily going to take over America. And this woman right here asked Trump the question, and everyone is talking about his response here. This happened while he was in Turkey for the NATO summit. You guys got to take a look at this.
Thank you, Mr. President, for doing this. Iris Tao with NTD, with a sister media with the Epoch Times. Okay. On communism, you've been issuing a wake-up call to Americans at home about the dangers of communism. And now you're speaking on the world stage. What's your message to people both living under communist and socialist regimes, but also people living under democracies like in Europe and America who might not have realized how close communism has come to home?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. But look, I want to get the word out, because what's forming is communism in the country. And communism's easy to sell. I would be the greatest communist in history. I'd be right up there with Lenin. I'd be as good as anybody. You've got free rent for the rest of your life. What they don't say is that you'll be living.
You know, you got this, so it's God in control. On the real.
In squalor in 12 months. You've got the free house. Would anybody like to have a free house? We'll take it away from somebody. We'll give it to you. You'll have murders all over the place. Communism's a disaster. It's been proven to be for thousands of years under different names, but the same thing. It's very important. And, you know, it's funny. One of the reasons I do so well with Hispanic people, I set a record, Republicans. I get great numbers for the election, helped me get elected in a landslide, the Hispanics, because a lot of them came from countries that were essentially communist. You know, whether you call them radical socialist or communist is not that much, but there's a little difference. When they say social democrats, we're social democrats, it sounds so nice. It's not nice. It's a very dangerous term. So I do talk about it, and I talk about it on TikTok, and I talk about it everywhere. I talk about it here. And you're right, it has become international, but it's never worked, and it's not going to work. What is working is the United States. So think of it, we have more jobs than we've ever had.
You say you waiting on the Doge check? You didn't vote for Trump, so how you waiting on the Doge check? You hate Trump, so why you want a check from him? That's insane. You bash Trump, but yet you want a check from him. Amazing.
People are making more money than they've ever made. I'm talking about workers now. I'm talking about workers. They're making higher salaries than they've ever made before. It's just the best system, and it's got flaws, but everything's going to have a little flaw, but it's been amazing. And when I watch what's happening and I see these lowlifes getting, I mean, they're lowlifes. I watch them. I know good people. I know quality people. These are essentially lowlifes. And when I see what they're talking, I think they're very dangerous in many ways. And I've said it. And then I said, boy, that's a pretty big statement. Then I realized, a couple of people said, I think you're probably right. I think this country, with this thing that's going around, is in more danger than it was during World War I, World War II. If you talk about September 11th, if you talk about Pearl Harbor, that was big danger. I think the concept of us going communist, because one thing that happens when you go communist, you never come back. You die in squalor. You die a horrible death. You die in squalor. And it gets very evil and very nasty.
Wow, I got the chills listening to that. Wow. Boy, I got the chills listening to that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what Trump is answering this question, right? We barely get these types of questions where you got people, and it's not being asked by an American. As you can see, this is being asked by somebody from, and maybe she is American, but it's not being asked in America. It's really what I mean, right? There's not American reporters that constantly travel with Trump are not asking him, what does he mean about the dangers? And here he is answering this question. And just yesterday, it just came out that Mamdani and Mamdani's administration, they were trying to meet with Iran. Or I'm going to dive into that.
We didn't ask you to come to America and all of a sudden change the Constitution. The Constitution is perfect how it is. The flag, the land, and everything about America is good. You guys want to come here? Come here. But don't come here with this other BS. Period. Don't come here with that. If not, stay where you at. This is USA. This is America, baby. I don't know what you guys got this whole thing about some the Muslim takeover or anything stupid like that. No, this is a Christian nation, capitalist. None of this communist BS at all. I don't know what you guys think.
The message for the people of Gaza is going to be more of the message that should be sent to the people here. In that they have achieved the victory, we haven't done anywhere near enough. And the people here, I promise you, we do feel ashamed. We do feel like we're not doing enough. We do feel like change needs to come, because change must come. And in the form that it must come is that this empire, the American empire that's been hurting our people since the beginning, the imperial...
What is he talking about? Come on, Chad. Did you get people in the chat in the comments? Let me know.
Western powers that have been hurting our people since the beginning, they must fall. And inshallah they will fall. And my message to the people of Gaza and the oppressed peoples across the world is that there are people here, both young and old.
Our women can walk around with no hijabs on and freely with no problem. Do their thing. They become OnlyFans and get paid. I'm not promoting, I'm just saying that's because America is. You do what you want to do. These people are corrupt, control. They want no peace. They just want chaos and death. And little kids, they nasty, man. Because she's 9 years old, 10 years old. They weird with this stuff, man. Leave these kids alone.
Muslims who are going to be willing to fight and are willing to put their lives and everything they can on the line to bring these empires down.
This right here is an example of why the Democratic Party is becoming a bigger and bigger threat to the fabric of this nation. And I know that sounds exaggerative, but I mean it. And here's why I say that. So right there, likely a Muslim,
talking about bringing down the American empire, our nation. Supporting what's going on in Gaza probably supports Hamas, which is quite literally by definition a genocidal terrorist organization, but that's a whole other topic. You have Muslims who literally want to bring down this nation. Now let's think about democratic socialists. I played a video earlier. I'm just going to show you a quick clip.
And, we have a unique responsibility to act from the heart of empire, the belly of the beast. The most important thing that we can do is take that empire down from within.
She's talking about taking down the United States of America. So then kind of put the two together. Like, it doesn't make sense for progressives, for example, and Muslims to get along and be in the same voting bloc. It really doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does.
If your beliefs and all that stuff is work, keep it over there. Don't bring it here. What the fuck? That's crazy, man. That's not cool, man. I don't understand why America let these people come in like this, man. But you already know who's doing the Democrat Party. Just to stay in power. They're like, anybody in here just to stay in power, man. It's literally a movie. We're literally in a movie for real with this. Both sides is not perfect, I get it. At least one side know the woman is, leave her kids alone, and believe in God. Only two genders. Man.
It makes sense if many of their goals are both the destruction of this country. Here's another reason why Democrats are threats, because they want to let anybody into our country. So they let anybody in. Now people who want the destruction of our country get in, they get the power to vote, and then they vote for things that would destroy our nation. Democrats governing would not.
And black and brown, goofy, you know what I'm saying? Liberals and white, liberals, Karens, your nay-nays, your shenay-nays, and your beta males vote for this dumb stuff. They want it free. And they get mad at me because I'm MAGA. I believe in America, America first. I love everybody, I love all the countries. But I live here in America, and I get a chance to go overseas. Come on, you guys, you gotta do better with this, man. You guys cannot fall for the okie doke. Period.
Be good stewards of America. They would likely, quite literally, allow our country to be ran into the ground. And if the right Democrats got in power, they would actively and purposely run it into the ground. The modern Democratic Party today is a problem. And it's up to us to ensure that they don't run our country into the ground. I'll say it again. If you're not registered to vote, make sure you're registered to vote. Plan to vote in these midterms.
Vote red, everybody. Vote red.
Or think about it. There are many Democratic socialists who want the destruction of this nation.
Then think about how they said the slogan, vote blue no matter who. That's stupid. And they cool with that. Vote red, don't be misled.
And there are Muslims who want the destruction of this nation. Who's leading the city of New York City? A Muslim Democratic Socialist. It's just something to pay attention to. This is where the Democratic Party's heading. But don't forget, I have a free email newsletter where I cover these topics in more detail. The link to that's in my profile. Click that link, drop your email in, hit subscribe, and you'll be good to go.
Saying Trump's a racist. He's not. He's not a racist. Joe Biden is. We got proof. You can Google it, research it for yourself and all of that. Joe Biden is bogus. I know he's not the president now, but he was the president. And you guys voted for this guy. But you guys get mad that I voted for Trump. That's crazy. But it's cool. But I'm going to go and play this video right quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, share, and subscribe. My name is Deunta. Let's get it.
Joe Biden and the Democrats were all racist.
Strom Thurmond was a clear racist. You're going to hear him speak for himself.
In fact, he was so racist, it was almost funny.
There's not enough troops in the army to force the Southern people to break down segregation and admit the Negro race into our theaters, into our springs.
You heard what he said? He said the N-I-G-G-E-R race. He didn't put the A on it. He had the ER on it. The strong ER. That's what he said.
The party never switched. And it's going to be broken down a little bit in this video.
Tools into our homes and into our churches.
And that's your boy, Geriatric Joe, right here. That's your boy.
I came to the United States Senate, a 29-year-old fella, and turns out one of my closest friends ends up being Strom Thurmond.
The
the racists, the ones you just heard on use the hard ER to describe desegregation. Desegregation.
Yep, that's Strom Thurmond, a bona fide.
You guys keep voting for this BS, man. The party never switched, man. You guys keep on voting for the same stuff every time. Keep falling for it. They're going to put you back in change. Really, Joe Biden? That's who said it. And you guys feared it and went right for it. Amazing.
Racist, and his best friend, Joe Biden, who later became our Democratic president.
Robert Byrd, a Kliegel, KKK member, or ex-KKK member, best friend of Joe Biden as well.
Now I know what a lot of you are going to say. Well, Strom Thurmond became a Republican. See, that's proof that the party switched. Yeah, Strom Thurmond was one out of 21 Southern Democrat segregationists who became a Republican after the 1964 Civil Rights Act passed. The other 20 remained Democrats their entire career until they retired or died. People love to highlight just that one racist Democrat who became a Republican. Meanwhile, the majority, the other 20 out of 21, remain Democrats. They never tell you that part, though. They leave that part out. There's no reason to hide information if what you're saying is true. Tell the whole story. Don't tell the insignificant part of the story. That proves the Civil Rights Acts did not cause a switch or swap of the ideologies of both parties. That just never happened. I speak more about this topic in depth and many other topics in my best-selling book, How the Democrats Won the Blacks, From Physical to Mental Slavery. This book gives the true origins of both political parties and tells the real events that took place that caused Black Americans to realign from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party, all backed up by historical documentation and government reports. If you want the real history you were not taught in school, my book is available now for order on Amazon. You can find the link in my bio or just comment the word book and I'll send the link right to your DM.
Appreciate that, man. On the real. So yeah, you guys, facts over feelings, you know. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Deunta. Just want to share that with you guys. Catch you on the next.
Sorry about that, chat. Let's continue.
Athletes from women's sports is discrimination. That is according to Miss Jackson. I'm not going to begin to pronounce her first name because I don't give a shit and I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it surprising? No, mainly because she's a libtard. She's a libtard, okay? Is it surprising? Not at all. Especially considering because she's a Black woman. Let me explain. Oh, God. Now, we all know Black women support two things. The majority of Black women, not all Black women, they support two things. Or they, from men, or they support gangsterism, or they love some ghetto hood brothers that they ain't gonna surmount to anything, all right? It's gonna be bums, mainly because, look, they feel comfortable with them guys. They feel like they can get over with them guys. Some guys don't have no confidence whatsoever. They cannot survive without a woman. And so they feel like they need to be empowered, the masculinity. Yeah, I'm 400 damn pounds, but you skinny. Yeah, you need me, don't you? You need my money, don't you? You need a roof over your head, don't you? They plan the man road to these beta male guys. They love them gangsterism guys. Oh, they love them. And number two, they love the Fruity Pebble community. They love looking at our brothers all fruity pebbling up. Yeah, hi, for real dough. Let's get this real dough. You know, there was an actress, and I forgot who it was, who said that black gay men protect Black women. That is, who was it? It could have been Taraji. I don't know who it was, but you got to be shitting me. What makes you what makes you think that? What makes you think that? But this is the type of thinking of black women, most black women in this country. So does this surprise me that this buffoon, this jigaboo said that? No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I would expect her to be front and center. That's her people. That's her people, right? Right? This is absolutely disgusting. You are entirely too old for you to go around saying that, oh, it's discrimination. How about them trans men? If you want to be trans, that's fine. You want to dress up as a girl, Mrs. Doubtfire, that's fine. Do you, boo-boo? Do you, because I don't care. But here's my thing. I don't care in the sense of don't bring that shit around me, okay? But here's my thing. If you want to be that, fine. But why do you all have to participate in women's sport? Like, why you can't go to a man? Like, why can't you dress up as a woman and participate in, men's sports? Is the pressure too much? Or do you just suck?
Happy Saturday, everybody. It's such a beautiful day in the United States of America. You might want to turn your volume down, but it seems like my latest video where I'm calling out illegal immigrants and illegal immigrant sympathizers has managed to rub a lot of people, specifically those that look like me, the wrong way. Pobrecitos. And that got me thinking. Self, you remember whenever you used to say that the white liberals were the detriment to American society, and I was like, yep, but not anymore. Now it's liberals in general of every fucking community that are the detriment to their very own community. And when you get these cara de nopales, these traitors, these sellouts, these whitewashed, white wannabes saying the same shit a white liberal does to a member of our very own community, who's the sellout? Who's the traitor? Who's the cara de nopal? Yep, congratulations. You gave the white liberal exactly what they wanted. You put down members of your very own community that don't think like you, and you say the same shit they say. You bunch of cara de... I said what I said. What's up?
Mayor Mamdani is a socialist or a democratic socialist. Let me settle it. He's a straight up communist. How do I know this? Well, I'm reading between the lines when one of his major advisors says, elect more communists. Which is fine. It's fine. It's a belief system. He's allowed to believe it, and people are allowed to vote for it. But if liberals deny it, like he's just going through a goth phase...
To Maher, you can argue semantics for the rest of the year. To Gutfeld, the math is simpler. When the people advising the new mayor are openly telling voters to elect more communists, you don't need a translator. You need a mirror. And critics say the most dangerous thing Democrats can do right now is pretend this is just a phase the kids are going through.
It doesn't make me forget that his wife loved October 7th attack on Israel and that he pals around with...
Come on. Have you had him on the show?
We ask people like that, Ro, they never come.
I'll talk to him. I
would love that. I think he should too.
I think if you come to
I do too. I would love to talk to him.
He's a smart guy, and I think you would find...
I'm not saying he's not a smart guy. He went to the White House.
Yeah.
I mean, he went there, but he can't come here?
Yeah. This is where Maher stops laughing and starts swinging. To him, this is no longer about taxes or rent control. It's about who someone surrounds himself with and what those people actually believe.
With all these racial stories coming out, stop killing our babies. You see what Jennifer Lewis said?
Stop killing our children, son of a bitch. We don't care if you think you're rich. We love our children. and the color of their skin, and we're getting tired of being called as the next of kin. You twisted monsters are going too far. Don't you know your own children will suffer if you keep magnifying this civil war?
Don't let these old, bitter, liberal black women hype you up. You're gonna start a civil war with the white man, get your ass kicked, lose, get slaughtered, and what they gonna do? The same day lives, they're gonna offer up that vagina on a silver platter. Yes, master, whatever you say. Because they didn't like you anyway. You're going now, they didn't worry about you. They was never thinking about you. It's always about them. It's always about themselves and their survival. And don't get them pregnant. Don't marry them. As soon as you put a baby in her, she good, man. Let it be a son, count your days. Why? Because she replace you. She don't need you no more. She got her king. She gonna raise that boy to take your spot. Stop trusting these liberal black women. Get you a conservative black woman, like Nicki Minaj. She's got a husband and a child. She don't got 7 baby daddies like Cardi B. She's not a hoe like Megan Thee Stallion. The liberal black woman wants to replace the man. They want to be the man. They want you to follow their lead. You gotta be the leader. Stop dealing with them. If they don't want to listen, let them deal with themselves. Let them date each other. Go get you a conservative woman. You know, I remember I was at a birthday dinner. And all black people, you know, and I'm one of the only conservatives in my friend group, so I'm trolling. I'm asking around, hey, what did y'all vote for? It's right before Trump got elected. And I'm expecting the women to say Kamala, obviously. Kamala. And then I'm looking at the men, and they the same thing. Oh yeah, I'm voting for Kamala. I'm like, you gonna put a black bitch in the White House? They don't know what they're doing. They think they know. They don't know anything. It's why they all end up old, alone, and bitter. They don't know what they're doing. You gotta take the lead. If you care about her, listen, it's God, it's me, then it's you. That's it. I follow God, and you follow me. I see whatever I like. I'll go wherever I like. I don't care. Stop listening.
A Mississippi teenager is going to be charged under the new juvenile gun law that just went into effect here in the state of Mississippi on July 1st. And it's a 16-year-old black boy by the name of Ethan Hines. That's right. He's not just the first black to do this like the media typically celebrates. He's the first ever of any race, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, anything. So that's a real accomplishment to be the first ever. It's hard in 2026 to be the first ever to do anything nowadays because the media celebrates first evers for everything, especially when it is a minority that accomplishes that achievement. Now, it's probably not one he's going to be proud of or that his family will, build a shrine to in the house. They probably won't get this newspaper framed, or I guess they don't frame newspapers anymore. They probably just take screenshots of stuff like this and blow them up. But same thing, right? They're probably not going to do it, so it's a moot point. But hey, we're going to do it. We're going to celebrate his accomplishment right here, right now. From WTVA. A 16-year-old.
That's fucked up.
Little Italy is an immigrant enclave in New York City. He made a cute little map of all the immigrant enclaves and failed to include the Italians, the Irish, or the Jews. Okay, he's from Uganda, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he just might not know any better. But Italians built that city. 1800s to the 1920s, Italians came over, about 4 million of them, including my great-grandfather, and they arrived in America via Ellis Island. And they were poor, and they were discriminated against, and called Dagos. And they tried with all their might to blend in and do this thing called assimilate. They built the subways, and the bridges, and the tunnels. They brought a food culture that became quintessentially American. Hello, when you think of New York City, you think of pizza. Where do you think you got pizza from? And by the second and third generations, these Italian Americans were fluent in English. They were making more than the national average, and they were excelling in every American way of life.